All right, let's move on to the Reds. They're 3-4 since we last spoke. They're currently tied with the Cardinals and the Brewers for second in the National League Central at 19-19, 3 games back of the Cubs. And the injuries are now mounting once again. We had Austin Hayes down with an injury, then Noelvi Marte went down. Then the big blow came on Wednesday when Hunter Greene injured his groin and had to leave. Of course, you also had Tyler Callahan breaking his forearm trying to catch a ball down the left field line. It was a nasty situation. Tough stretch here for the Cubs, or for the club, Skinny. How much? I guess the first thing is the Hunter Greene situation. If this is more than a couple weeks, do you think they can survive that and hang around?
I mean, they haven't exactly knocked out of the ballpark with him, have they? I mean, that's a great question. Maybe it's Rhett Lauder time. I guess you cross your fingers that it was just a in the moment twinge. Yeah, that maybe he missed the start. Maybe you bring Chase Petty. Chase Petty actually, after he got bombed, he went back down to the minors. I think he threw 6 or 7 no-hit innings and struck out 8 or 9 the other night. Maybe give him another crack at it to just, again, be cautious with this. But I got to be honest with you. When was the first time you ever heard about an oblique injury? Seriously. Do you remember?
Was it Johnny Cueto? Did he have was that an oblique thing?
Nah, there's no way he had maybe he did. He had too much fat to pull an oblique. But
well, he kept, remember, because he twisted?
Yeah.
He did that twist his motion. He had to stop doing it. It was either like an oblique or like a abdomen issue or something. I remember something in his side, I think, was messed up. But yeah, obliques scare me though, Skinny, because 1, I don't really know what it is. And 2, it seems like it's like a real nagging thing. They just never go away once you have it.
Why did nobody have those 20 years ago? I'm serious about that. What, did we just not hear about it, know about it, understand it? Did we just think it was a pulled rib cage muscle? I honestly, I don't know. It feels like the Reds have cornered the market on obliques.
I think it's one of those things where they've changed. Like they used to just say like he pulled something or he strained his back or something. I don't know. And now it's like you have an oblique issue. I don't know.
I honestly, there's a part of me that honestly believes this. I think these guys are so damn jacked up that they're like a rubber band that any extra tension on it pop.
The fat guys had more movement and give to their structures, right? I mean, these guys that are wound too tight, they're just.
I like one of my favorite quotes of all baseball is when some female fan heckled John Kruk for being fat. She goes, "You're not an athlete." He goes, "No, ma'am, I'm not an athlete. I'm a baseball player."
And you can't pull fat.
Can't pull fat. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just strange. And the Marte one is one. Is this just a brief thing, or is this like Matt McClain last year, where now he's going to miss the rest of the year or a big chunk of the year, right? Nobody knows.
And that's the thing that I hate about obliques. It seems like the most ambiguous injury where they constantly keep going, oh, he's going to give it a try. He's going to try to work through it. He's going to get back to baseball activities again in a couple weeks. And then like that happens. And he had a setback. And then he's out for like 2 more months. It's just like a nebulous injury that never has a clear timeline. It doesn't seem like.
I mean, Christian Encarnacion Strand, initially the timeline for him was late April return, and now he's just had another epidural in his back, and you wonder, when's he ever going to get back to this? Is he ever going to get back to being any good?
You wrote a column this week for local12.com that I thought was pretty good. It is titled Reds Future in Question as Potential Falls Short and Bona Fides Remain Elusive. And it was kind of about this group of young stars that we've talked about for the last 3 seasons. Everyone's been building up the Reds' chances and the Reds' hopes around that they have this young core of Ellie, Hunter Greene, Nick Lodolo, Noelvi Marte, Matt McClain, CS.
Yes.
All these guys, and now we're getting here into the 3rd year of this core group being the young restart of this organization, and it feels like it's starting to fall apart. I thought you laid that out pretty well in your column.
I appreciate that. And I don't know why it struck me to do it, Dan, because I hate to be knee-jerk with young players, right? Like, is this a big enough sample size? And I'm starting to think that it is to some degree, right? I mean, go back to the end of that 23 season when all those guys came up and they all had an impact, even Noelvi Marte, right? I mean, they all had some level of impact. And so you expect, and I know the old sophomore slump, well, unfortunately, McClain got hurt. CES played hurt. But
Marte was on steroids.
Yeah, correct. But they haven't exactly progressed this year. In fact, Matt McClain, I don't know what to make of him at the moment. Do you? I just don't.
Well, it's really concerning because that was the one we kept thinking, oh, he's just a baseball player. Like when he's right, when he's healthy, he'll be fine. He always looks fine. And all of a sudden now he doesn't look fine, Skinny. He looks like another one of these guys that are just kind of, he has his moments, but none of these guys seem like they're blossoming into a true superstar. And I think you even laid that out with Ellie. He really hasn't become that bona fide superstar, top of your organization guy that can lead you.
I mean, he's in the mid to high 700s for career OPS, which is pretty good. Again, and I want it to be clear, and I think I made it clear in the piece. I'm not here to tell you Ellie sucks. That would be stupid. But
super talented, super fun.
He does such spectacular things that I think you expect more, and maybe now that he's in his third year, rightfully so more. I mean, you see him hit these long home runs at times, right? He's hit 3 career home runs over 450 feet. I think I should expect more than him having 5 home runs and 43 for his career at the moment. I mean, it feels like at the moment I can say he's a good player who does spectacular things at times, but I can't even come close to put him in the superstar category yet. I think he should be trending in that direction at this point, shouldn't he?
Well, he should if the Reds are going to be what we thought they were going to be 2 and 3 years ago with this young core. And it's just like, it's not breaking that way. And I don't think it's far enough along to call it a done thing. Like, oh, these guys were busts. It didn't work out at all. Correct. But to your point, I do think we have enough of a sample size now to say, hey, the feeling about these guys is way different than it was a season or two ago now all of a sudden. Yeah,
and then the problem is, and this is the part I think I also put in there, is some of the guys who do have bona fides are just meh. It was really cute when Gavin Lux was leading the league in hitting, right? Like, oh my gosh, look at Gavin Lux. Well, then all of a sudden he hit the 1 for 24 patch, and then you look at the back of his baseball card and go, oh, that's the 255, 330, 370 slash line guy. That's Gavin Lux. Jake Fraley is nothing more than a fourth outfielder at best that you're forced to give at bats to. TJ Friedel's up and down. I mean, TJ Friedel's probably going to be a 700 OPS guy, which is okay. It's just so even the guys with the bona fides, the key to this whole restructure was going to be to that point of Ellie De La Cruz isn't just going to be good. He's going to be a megastar. Matt McClain is going to be an all-star. CES is going to be a 30 home run guy. Noelvi Martin is going to be a 285, 290 hitter with 18 to 22 home run power. Now, I will say the pitching is optimistic because Hunter Greene is certainly panning out. Lodolo and Andrew Abbott, when they're healthy, are panning out. Those things are good. So it's not all doom and gloom, but to the core of this group that you were counting, and I think that's what the Reds were counting on too, right? That, okay, we've got potential superstars or at least all-star caliber players among our young guys. We'll figure out how to fill in around them. Well, you fill in around them with meh, and I get it. They're not willing to pay for established talent, and maybe we just have to swallow hard and live with that, and this is the way it's always going to be. But to this moment, I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, to be honest with you.
I think it's probably part of the fan condition to just assume that, or just think that a guy has a good year and that's kind of his baseline now. He's going to get better than his best year all the time or his best stretch. But I do wonder if, like Jim Bowden, it felt like he was constantly bringing in reclamation projects and pitching Reds fans on, we're going to be good because this guy's going to get back to his best season ever, his best stretch of baseball ever. It feels like Reds fans have PTSD. Like we just say that about like Gavin Lux, as you pointed out, was never a good offensive player, but he has a couple of good weeks, and everyone's like, well, the Reds are a better offense than we think. Look at Gavin Lux is having a good year. He's going to he's not going to continue doing that. He had a good couple of weeks. He's never been a strong hitter, a middle of your lineup type of guy, and yet people are starting to pencil him in there for the Reds this year because he had a couple of good weeks. Maybe all fan bases do that, but it seems like the Reds fans do that an awful lot, where it's like a guy has a good little stretch and, oh, he's going to be a superstar for us. Jake Fraley's going to be great. TJ Friedel's going to be great. Spencer Steer's going to be great. It's like those guys aren't those types of players.
Well, and I lumped Spencer Steer into that mixer. I forgot to mention him too. I mean, 2 years ago, I thought, okay, here's a 25 to 30 home run guy who can play a lot of different spots. And then last year, his home run total dipped a little bit. And this year, I get he's been dealing with the shoulder, but it just doesn't feel like it did. And I had all the optimism in the world after 2023. I thought, man, you got yourself a nice young core. Will they all pan out? Probably not. But I think a good chunk of them will. I mean, I was as high on CES as anybody could be. I was extraordinarily bullish on Matt McClain. it was hard not to fall in love with Ellie and the potential and just, again, the prodigious home run and the speed. And yet, he can run you into runs. I mean, he ran them into a big run the other night, and he can run you out of innings, right? He makes a spectacular play that probably only he can make. And yet last year he led all shortstops and errors. This year he leads all shortstops and errors. There's just a confounding thing with that guy.
All right. Here's a question I have for you.
Yes.
And it's not, don't factor in injuries or whatever. Just think of any Reds player currently that you can select. Who are your 3 favorite Reds to watch right now? Not necessarily the best players, but who you just find most entertaining or enjoyable to watch.
Hunter Greene.
Hunter Greene.
He is so good.
That's my number 1 as well.
I mean, I love watching Ellie. I mean, the stuff he does. I mean, in person, sometimes you watch that stuff and you're like, my Lord, how can somebody have that many gifts?
Yeah, so that's number, and I feel like those 2 are obvious in my opinion. Those are like easy, whichever order you want to do them in, those are 1 and 2 for me. But I'm curious about who is number 3, because this is a storyline I wanted to bring up with you.
This is a tough one for me. It would go between Lodolo and Abbott when they're healthy. I don't know. There's something about left-handers, the way they deliver the ball when they're good. It just looks so easy. And boy, that's a tough one for me to break the tie on. I'll go Lodolo. Slightly over Abbott, but boy, Abbott's just a bulldog. I love that guy as a pitcher.
Mine has changed recently. I have a new one. What do you think about my guy, Luis May, Skinny?
I like your guy, Luis May. I thought you were going to go with Santiago Espinal, who, to his credit, has done everything you could ask for and more.
He's done well. Unfortunately, he is not one of my favorite players to watch. Luis May, I cannot get it. I want this guy on the mound every second of every game right now. I cannot get enough of him. Also, I think I'll give a shout out. Charlie Goldsmith and Brian Gieschenslaw are doing a Reds podcast now on Paul Dehner's thing. And it's actually really good. And podcasts are interesting because a guy like Charlie Goldsmith, who I just met for the first time this year during the NCAA tournament, the Xavier Texas game, he was there covering it. And it's the first time I've ever met him in person, but I've been following his work. And you hear him talk, you listen to him, and he's not a guy that would ever be doing radio or not a guy who ever would have been on air previously. But because the world we live in, media creation, you have to do all this content, make podcasts and stuff. He's in this podcast with Brian Gieschenslaw. And I tell you what, it's become my new favorite Reds podcast. I think they do a really good show. The way Charlie covers the team, they found a way to do segments, and he does a great job of fitting information in. But he had a great little segment where he was asking Luis May about, sort of, I don't even know what the question was, but basically about how he feels like it's going or whatever, or what he thinks he's going to be able to do. And Luis May is just like, I want to be the best closer ever. I love the confidence. I love the way the guy talks. Everything about him. Just he watched Aroldis Chapman growing up, and he just told his dad is that fast? Is 105 mile an hour fastball fast? His dad's like, yeah, it's the fastest ever. But he's like, I want to do that then. I'm just gonna go do that. And he's like, he got to 103, 104 miles an hour. It's pretty damn good.
It's crazy. I mean, yeah, I do think he's got a pretty bright future. By the way, I saw this the other day. I can't remember where it was. It was in a story. It was embedded in a story about some fastball velocities this year. I believe I saw this correctly, that Aroldis Chapman had the top 2 highest fastballs this year. He's still bringing the heat.
Isn't that incredible?
It is.
I mean, how is his arm held up like this? Especially because it doesn't seem like he's exactly, living his life in a Tom Brady-esque manner. I don't think he's doing TB12 during the offseason and getting himself in perfect shape.
No, that's a legit point, but he's still bringing it.
Yeah, it's incredible. But Luis May, I've really enjoyed getting to see him. And the bullpen needed some power arms too. This has been fun.
No, that's a good answer.